pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could remain standing for a moment, as we always do, and remember a couple of folks that have passed since our last meeting: Tom Olivia, Carolyn Thorne, and George H.W. Bush. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I know. Oh, come on. I've been standing for 2 years. Is there any comments on agenda items? Sure. Agenda items.
Yep, thank you. Martha Allward, Highland Falls. In regards to the minimum square foot of dwellings, I don't think reducing is a good idea. I think maybe you could take it case by case, but to make a blanket statement, we already have more than 50% rental property, and that doesn't do a place any good. I think that you talked about the last meeting, it was mentioned the first time, last meeting that I attended, 750 square feet is small, and maybe there are some properties that have just been renovated or something. There's one at the end of my street, fantastic job, and I had heard it was a two-family. I don't know if it always was, and maybe something like that could be grandfathered in, because what it is now is 1,000,000% better than what it was. However, I know people have two options here. You leave because you can't afford the taxes anymore, especially if you get to be retirement age, or you stay and you try to get extra income out of your property. Reducing it is not going to help this village.
Thank you. Anything else?
Please. How you doing? My name is Richard. I'm an architect that live locally, and I try to follow through with my personal life as well as my career. And in doing so, I'm mentioning this. I didn't get to look at the agenda now. I believe I am on the agenda tonight. Talking about the Sweezy Avenue. Am I on the agenda?
In discussion? In discussion? It's on the agenda.
Discussion. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Last time I was here, I brought up 2015, November 16th.
Richard, can you just step up to the mic?
2015, November 16th, 2015, minutes of the board meeting. And I was correctly corrected by Mrs. Murphy that this unanimous vote was not part of this. But what I did not see at that point in time, I was trying to look on this agenda, and it says discussion was held for the property located at 23 Sweezy Avenue regarding a request to extend the road so that the property owner can access the driveway to the property. Planning board recommendation to the village board was that the curb cut already exists, and the street superintendent needs to make the recommendation as to whether the street can be extended. Now that was the planning board, the chair of the planning board at that time was Mr. Ramus, And he was there, and he's the one that had said that, you know, there was approval on this subject to a prior engineer's noting that there was a problem, or there wasn't a curb cut or anything of that sort. So after that, it says, the mayor told Mr. Zizi, the property owner, that there is no money in the current budget for this project. The mayor told Mr. Zizi that it would be put into next year's budget. Now, I know there's no nomenclature that suggests someone nodding their head okay, but at that point in time, it was understandable that it was approved. I went through jumped the hurdles with the planning board. They approved it. I came here. It was everyone on, I believe even you said, your words were like, give the man the driveway, let him get to his driveway. And so at that point in time, as far as I knew, it was a done deal. I was just waiting for it to be done. Now, last year, when Gary Boyce was a supervisor, we came in here and it was mentioned that it would be done in-house. And he said, yeah, we can do it in-house with the materials and equipment or what need be done without having to farm it out or have an engineer or anyone else do it. So up until this point in time, until just recently, I was pretty surprised that that it looked like it was being taken off the table and not even considered. So I did write a letter to the mayor, which was brief over it. It says, in 2012, it took a really big risk during which time the country was in a recession and financial economic crisis. There was many people that were insecure and unstable. There was no work for many people. Many lost their homes and lives. I recall the future was quite questionable. This was a big risk. I paid contractors a lot of money to renovate this house, during which time my medical bills would reflect I was not in good health. Friends and family expressed their disillusionment. I have faith and I am relying on the experience, integrity, and constituency dedication to help find a justifiable means to acquire access to my driveway. Now, I remember at the time that this house was in shambles, and I was stepping up to the plate in the community. I could have gone elsewhere. I know the taxes are really heavy here. I hired one guy that was from Brooklyn. He came with his son and stayed most of the time to do the plastering and the sheetrock because there was no work. And another guy from Sullivan County that came down as a plumber. They both showed up with $10 in their pockets, and they had families. And they worked. I was lucky enough, and God bless, thanks be to God, that from West Point, a guy got laid off, and he was a steam fitter and rebuilt the boiler. There was, I'm sure there was all people there in this community that one of your board members know, at least, if not one of all of them, that came up there and there was work. And so, you know, I tried to put it into the community. It wasn't just self-sacrificing, you know, it was just not self-indulgent, may I say. You know, so I'm just looking to get to my driveway, so I hope you would reconsider your.
Okay, we'll take it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick Flynn, 1 Muller Avenue. I see that the resignation of Kevin Hurst is on the table. I just want to thank Kevin for many, many, many years of great service to this community. He was always there to bend over backwards whenever anyone needed something. Didn't matter what hour of the day, didn't matter hour of the night, he was there. And he's going to continue to be there in his private business, but as far as a village employee, it's sad to see him go, and I just wish him well. And the other thing, I'm just wondering, I see a lot of probation ending on the thing. They're all at the end of the term. They're none of them ended early, correct? All the probations that are being looked at on the agenda, they're all full.
Yeah, this is
term.
not. These are all. Their time is
full,
and not like on March 30th when on the agenda had to be 8 or 9 people were taken off. Even some that only had 30 days into the job, they were all taken off. This is they're being taken off. The ones that are on here happens to be a couple on their legitimate time being on probation.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to open up the public hearing on to amend the property maintenance law. Actually, we didn't close it the last time, we kept it open, and so it continues tonight. Is there any public comment on property, the introduction to amend the property maintenance law? And really, this is about the building inspector being authorized to give appearance tickets?
Yes.
That's the gist of this?
Yes.
Okay, is there any public comment? If not, I'll close the public comment portion and open up another public hearing on introductory local laws, zoning laws to reduce the minimum required square footage of dwelling units. Again, I'm opening it, but it wasn't closed at the last meeting either. Is there any comment on that? Yes.
Ray Devereaux, Underhill Park. I'd like to reinforce what Mrs. Elwood said. I agree with her fully. And I'd like to ask you, what precipitated changing the zoning law?
Me?
Aren't you?
This came this came to the village board.
Well, then, what do you want, all of them to speak or what?
If they want, if they would like to, it's a question to the board.
Who's going to answer the question?
I just did, it came before the board. I'm answering you. I don't know what you
But
want.
it's still an open matter, is it not?
What does that mean? Yeah, it's
Until
open
you
tonight.
vote, the hammer drops.
Oh, yeah, that's why we're here tonight.
Okay.
It's an open,
So I just asked a question.
and I'm giving you the answer, Ray. What do you want?
I want you to say X, Y, and Z. We had 20 people that came and they were.
Those aren't the
they
answers.
were for this.
Those aren't the answers. I'm
I
not
only
gonna
know of
say,
one, and that's the one Mrs. Elwood mentioned.
I'm not going to say what is not. Is there any other, I don't know what, excuse me. Any other comments on that particular local law to be amended? Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
You want a motion?
Motion to close on both, correct? Okay, could I have
I'll make a motion.
a motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Murphy to close, can we do both? I don't know what you're shaking your head, do you want to say something?
Well, do I have to come up there?
Oh, yeah.
I just don't.
Can we do both, Elise?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Go ahead.
Suzanne Lewis, Lake Street. I don't know if it's a closed motion. I don't see where Ray's question was answered. He wondered, I believe he wondered what precipitated this issue about the square footage in houses.
I don't know if I could, maybe I could say local developers.
They became before the planning board?
They've gone to the planning board. We have a letter here from the planning board.
It was local developers, so that's the answer to the
I
question.
don't want to say local, I just want to say developers. I don't know if some live here, some don't.
So that was the answer to
And
the
it also went,
question?
and it also went before the planning board, for which we have their comments.
Yeah, I didn't feel that the question was
Yeah,
answered.
thank you
That's
so
why I'm
much.
shaking my head.
Thank you so much. Okay, discussion, next on the agenda, food truck.
We didn't finish the motion.
Huh?
Finish the motion to close.
Oh, I did.
Vote. You need to vote.
Okay, who made Merv made the motion? Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, under discussion, food truck. Board?
Well, the discussion right now on the food truck is that, do we want to open up basically another spot in the village of Howland Falls for a vendor to go into the parking lot, the municipal parking lot down here? Originally, for years, the only one vendor that used to be in the municipal parking lot was Mr. Anderson, and I'm sure many of you probably remember Mr. Anderson when he was out there. And that was the only spot that we had in the village of Howland Falls, was one spot in the village. When Mr. Anderson left that spot, it became vacant for several years without any vendors in that spot. And then we were approached by a couple that was interested in putting a small concession in that area down in the municipal lot. That was publicized, correct, Gina? And it was put out to a bid for anybody that wanted to try to have that spot or put a concession inside there. Now again, there's only been one spot in the village for a concession. And now what the question has came up now, we have another vendor that would like to have a spot in municipal lot. For myself, and speaking for myself, I've really thought about this. What do we want to do? And, you know, the board has their opinions. My opinion is, for many years it was one spot. That's what we had in municipal parking lot. And we did entertain this back out again where we have that spot open now. It'll rebid in July. I'm not sure as a village trustee if I want to entertain vendors out in municipal parking lots. Because if you're going to say, okay, so we're going to entertain and have one more vendor, what's going to be fair to say to the third vendor, I'm sorry, we already have two now? Because we have to remember that originally it's always been one spot, and that's all we've had. So my decision has been made to remain it as one spot. And when it comes up to July, the bid will come back out again. If somebody would like to get involved with having a spot out in the parking lot, then there would be a bid on that. I don't think there's, I know we have businesses out there, along Main Street, we have different kind of choice of food. I understand that this vendor that's interested in this spot has a separate category of food, which is a very good food. However, it doesn't stop the guy that wants to come in with an ice cream truck. It doesn't stop a guy that comes in with a wrap truck. It doesn't stop another guy that wants to sell another kind of food out there. And to be quite honest with you, if 4 people go up to a vendor and they have lunch, the guy that's sitting paying taxes in his store on Main Street just lost 4 people for lunch. And that's what you have to really think about. So I think I've expressed my feelings on this. This is with absolutely no disrespect. This has nothing to do with what I do on the side. This is just a decision what I think is better for the people and better for the government and better for the village of Howland Falls. Okay? John?
As much as I love falafel and would love to have access to falafel, and I hope that you've been successful in speaking to MWR about the potential of this space there. My problem is that we had a very heated discussion about this last summer, and the board set a contract in place for one spot. And until that contract is expired, I don't feel it's appropriate to expand it to multiple more. And I do agree that if we start allowing an exception and have a second truck, it's not terribly fair to the person who bid quite high on that first spot. And then, as Merv said, how do you turn down the next guy that comes in? And at some point, from past experience on the other side of the river, I know that the people renting storefronts get very upset, and I don't believe Cold Spring allows any street vendors at all except for special events. So at this point, I would have to lean in the direction of just rebidding in July and revisiting if we want to go to 2 spots. But for now, this board determined that we would have 1 spot, and that contract was written that way.
Thank you. Anything else, Brian? You have anything?
No, we have to go along with the contract. We signed a contract saying 1 space.
Okay, do you want to, I'll give you an
I wanna
opportunity.
talk.
Just for a couple of minutes.
That's fine. It's gonna take me a couple minutes. Okay. First off, my heart is actually hurting at this point. I'm gonna address Murr first. You and I spoke. You told me you were 100% supportive because you said.
First, let me cut you off. I didn't say I was 100%. I said I like the idea of what you're doing and everything else, but you have to understand, let me just cut into this real quick. I did not say that. And not only that, I spoke to somebody already that you said they said, but they didn't say that at all.
Right
But
here
let me-
is
let me-
the problem.
no,
It's
no,
public talk,
no,
honey. It's
no,
my turn to talk. He got to talk already?
No,
Yeah.
hold on a
Okay.
second, hold on a second.
It's my turn.
Hold on a second.
I don't do Highland Falls,
Wait-
he
wait
said,
a
she
minute.
said. I'm here telling you
Wait a second.
that I am upset
Ma'am.
because
Ma'am,
It's my- is it my
I know,
turn?
It is, but he's on the, let him speak for a minute.
Hold on a
Okay,
second.
then you can finish,
Okay.
and no one
Sure.
will interrupt you.
Sure,
if you're gonna stand up there and address out to the community,
I am.
please say what was said, because you've already said, I said I was 100%. That's totally false what you just said.
Okay.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Okay.
I
Okay, go
won't
ahead.
say 100%, I will
Okay.
say he was supportive because he had expressed to me that he had told the board that if you let one, you have to let more. That he was in the
Exactly.
military and that is in his blood and that's what he believes.
Wait a minute, I didn't say that.
You did.
All right,
No,
look,
All right, anyway, I won't reference you anymore, at all.
I hear you.
I know, but you can't.
I'm just gonna
you-
let
you-
everybody
You have to
know
understand, you
that-
have to say what was said.
That's fine. My name is Rebecca Stewart. I'm the owner of Rafkus Food Truck. It will be around this area, whether it is in the village of Highland Falls or if I'm sitting on the side of the highway. Because my husband is a veteran. And we live in this town, and I want to work in this town. I want to be around, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. I want to be around my children. And I want to be able to coach basketball like I just did. And I want to be able to make money and pay my rent and do everything that I have to do as a woman and as a mother of 4 children. I don't understand why you're stopping it. Because people are scared they're going to lose some money. Work harder, change your menu, hire a new chef, do something. People in this town don't like the food, unfortunately, and it's not every single place that people don't like. But we know who works hard, who tries to make up a new, unique menu, and who tries to actually get people through their doors, and we know who chills back. I'm a hard-working woman. I'm dedicated to my life, to my husband, to my family, and to my business. And you guys doing this, did anybody even read the laws from before that are actually written that say that you can have multiple food trucks as long as it's not a nuisance? So why isn't it even like, oh, well, we have one contract, that's it? It's ridiculous. One contract because you're worried that a business owner is going to lose 4 people. So you want to monopolize and only have Shades, the park, the places that have been here for umpteen years, and then make it difficult for the people who want to open a business. Like, I know Bear Mountain Bakery had a hard time opening, and they went through a list of things that they had to go through. It's like, if you want this place to prosper, and you want young people to be involved in what's going on, and you want changes to happen, be that board that wants it to happen. I won't say another word about it. I just want you to know that I am frustrated, and if you're hungry for Mediterranean food, my phone number is 845-392-3658, and I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Address the fact that the contract was bid based on one spot.
It was not bid. Now, you can change that as you go forward.
You can change it.
Yes, but I don't know what the deadline, I mean, it was for 1 year.
To July.
To July, okay. So you can revisit this in July.
Just so the home audience can hear what our attorney said, the contract that was put out to bid was bid on the basis of one spot. It expires in July. It will be rebid at that time. But currently, the contract that the village entered into in good faith with a vendor was for one spot. It resulted in a very high bid because of that, and I feel we have to honor it.
Well, the other issue is if it had been for 2 spots or 3 spots, you might have gotten more bids and you could have granted 2 or 3 spots, but it was only 1 spot. That was the ground rule based on what this board at that time decided to do. So in July, when that contract is up, this board can revisit the issue.
Thank you. All right, 23 Sweezy, Richard. Since the last meeting, I, the highway superintendent, and
Brian.
the village trustee, Mr. Howard, on one visit, we've been up there twice, where I want to go with this. Early in the morning, 8:30, and I've looked at it again and again, you know that. We think we've come up with a solution to allow a car to get down there to the driveway and pulled in, of course.
And I've been up there too.
And the only thing I want to do for information for the board is to speak to our engineer before it's approved. And also, I'd like to figure out a time with you to meet you up there to tell you exactly what we are going to do. It's a little different than what the highway superintendent wanted, and much different than what the engineer wanted, which is good for you. So I'll give you a call, and I'll meet you up there. I'll bring John with me, and we'll show you what the suggestion is to do. The only thing is we have to run it by on-site the engineer. Now, being it's the time of year, you know what that means. It might not get done till spring, but once we okay it, and we'll come back here and do it formally, it'll be done. Okay?
Thank you.
So the last two visits were more productive than the other visits. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. You're going to be, I think, you're going to be okay with this. There's not that many variations you can do there to begin with.
It's only like 30 feet, so get there.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome. 298 Main Street, we had received a letter from the library about the sidewalk. I went over, the sidewalk is in great condition from the start where Hoffman's driveway is, all the way down to the end, and at the end is I don't know how large it is, it's 3 feet by 3 feet. It was a dig, if you will, of the sidewalk in that area for a gas leak from Central Hudson. They came back and repaired it. So meeting Thursday with Central Hudson on many issues. This would be a good time for me to say Mountain Avenue, which is a disaster, like a real disaster, the whole length of it.
And you know, that's going to be over soon.
Yeah.
The construction part.
Yeah.
I think we're sort of...
They're putting in laterals now.
Yeah, but we're sort of left with...
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, it's the time of year that I'm concerned about. So I'm meeting Thursday with Central Hudson to go back to 298. That'll be the first spot that we stop at, and they'll have to come back and repair it. And until then, because we were put on notice, you'll see cones around the area that is a hazard. It is a hazard. So that's how. Can we notify? Did you get a copy of the letter?
No.
Okay, so Gina will give you a copy of the letter, and let's respond back that it's a Central Hudson issue, and I'm meeting with them on Thursday.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I did get a copy of that.
Oh, okay.
And we spoke,
I think we did. So could we just answer the letter so we
Sure.
let them know?
I'll draft a response.
Okay, thank you. Okay, new business, to approve the minutes that were written from the regular meeting we had here on November the 19th, 2018.
Motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, you have a resolution for local law 4-2018 to amend the property maintenance law. Again, this is so that the gist of this is so that the building inspector can issue appearance tickets. Tonight would be, I don't think there's a reason to table it, so tonight it would be to adopt a resolution.
And this is a good step forward on this too.
Yeah, you have it before you. The News of the Highlands has received this, Regina? The local law?
They will, once you adopt it.
Okay. May I have is there a motion?
And I'll second that.
Who made the
Ryan
motion?
did.
I just,
Motion by trustee Howard, second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call? Roll call?
Trustee Alward.
aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor DiNapoli.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, next we have a resolution to adopt local law 5-2018 to amend the zoning law to reduce the minimum required square footage of dwelling units. There was a discussion today, after receiving today a recommendation by the Consolidated Planning Board that we increase the 750 to 850. So that would be a change for the local law that you have before you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
I just received these comments.
Mhm.
I have gone through them, and I think it might be worth a discussion for us to have right now
Mhm.
about some of these comments and how they affect the local law.
Okay.
Um,
Are they reflected in the local law?
Some of them actually are, and some of them aren't.
Okay.
So the way I read the recommendation of the planning board, and please tell me if you read this the same way, is right now you have three different minimums, 750, 800, 1,000.
That's correct.
It appears to me that the planning board is recommending to just put the minimum size at 850, period, rather than go by bedroom. And that is what I'm reading here from the chairman of the planning board in his comment number 1. An extensive discussion by the planning board feels that the minimum required square footage for each individual unit of a single-family dwelling converted to a two-family dwelling should not be below 850. So he's recommending that it doesn't matter whether there's 2 or 3 bedrooms, it should just be 850. So that's number 1. That would be a change to the local law as proposed. The second comment talks about what's happened in the past. Just a note for the board, currently the conversion of single-family homes to two families is only allowed in certain districts, the R4, R5, R5A, and R6. And those districts are specifically for single-family, two-family, and then up to apartments and that sort of thing. So it's not all through the village, it's just in those particular districts. And it is a special exception use. So that change of use must go before the planning board.
Good.
He goes on to talk about multiple family dwellings, which doesn't apply here. Number 4, the code requires, et cetera, okay, his concern here in number 4, and it's a legitimate concern, is that what you don't want is existing single-family homes that are in those zones that could be converted under existing law to be torn down and a big, huge, building be built. So he's very concerned about that. That's a very legitimate concern, and in fact, I did address that concern in the local law by specifically, and you'll see in your new version of the law, it basically says that
At least what section?
this is the first section.
Yeah.
Okay, type of residences.
Yeah.
What I've done is so the single and two-family detached dwellings constructed after January 1st, 2019 must be 1,200 square feet as they always were. Single-family and detached dwellings constructed prior to January 1 would be affected by this new law. So what's not going to happen is, you're going to get a bunch of new construction of single-family for the purpose of two-family that are now smaller. So I think the board's intent was there's a certain existing houses that could potentially be converted and that's okay, but what you don't want is new construction specifically under these parameters. And there's also a note, and the note says that the minimum square footage requirements apply only to single family. It kind of repeats January 1st, 2019. And then an existing single family dwelling that seeks conversion to two-family dwelling shall not be enlarged in total square footage in order to meet these minimum requirements in the absence of variances issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So what that means is that you're not going to have an existing house that could be converted saying, okay, I want to put an addition on, or I want to build another story or something like that, just to meet these square footages. The only way they would be able to do that would be to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for variance. So this law was specifically directed at, and this has been changed, so it's specifically directed at houses in the village now, in particular districts that allow this type of conversion to be converted, so long as it isn't raised and rebuilt to be bigger or made bigger just in order to get that two-family and to meet that minimum. The planning board also attached the planner's comments. I did go through those. The planner's comments made many of the same comments that the planning board did. She was looking at an old, apparently she didn't look online because she talks about condominiums, and that was taken out some time ago. And again, she points out that what you don't want is houses that are raised and then a big house built just to meet these minimums. So I think we have addressed the bulk of the concerns put forth by the planning board. The only thing I would have this board consider, though, is the recommendation just to have it 850 period rather than by bedroom count. And that's something that the board...
What did you say, Charlie?
There's a varying number of square feet depending on
Bedrooms.
bedrooms.
Right.
We're
Okay.
proposing to eliminate that standard
Okay.
in addition to lowering the total.
Also, the planner's comments that were submitted by the planning board talk about laws that are in Monroe, that are in Cornwall, or accessory apartments. I don't think that's what this board intends with this local law. This is not an apartment, it's a two-dwelling building, two-dwelling house, it's a conversion.
All right, so at least we can change tonight the 750 to 850
And make it just
square footage
square footage
of the apartment.
of the
Two-family.
two-family dwelling,
Right.
of each individual dwelling unit.
Correct.
You can do that.
Are there any other changes from what we've talked about here?
No, I think we did anticipate some of the concerns that the planning board had, very legitimate concerns, and we've addressed those. So with that change, if the board, now, you are reducing the 3-bedroom from 1,000 to 850 and increasing 1-bedroom from 750 to 850 by just eliminating the number of bedrooms and just making it 850.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
what the board needs to do.
This evening, we're just discussing the two-family, but at some point in the near future, I'd like to revisit and talk about consistency with apartments. They're currently 900. It seems to me that they should be equal. And there is a gap. Technically, an apartment is a 4-family or more. How do we deal with a 3-family?
Well, 3-family is multi-family.
Okay,
Right,
so that would fall under...
That would be,
Would it be the
That
same
would
as an
really be,
apartment?
it'd be townhouse development, apartment, yes, or multifamily. And actually, that condominium comes out, I don't know why that's apartment or
Multifamily.
multifamily, yeah.
But that would address it.
Because multifamily is apartments.
Yeah, maybe you could go to the microphone, it's really hard to hear you explain it. Would be nice.
Well, I have a microphone
Yeah.
here,
That
I
would be
guess
great.
maybe
You're
it's
Just
not
hear a lot
on.
of muffled.
No,
But that's not
it's all
gonna
right.
make her sound.
No, it's all right.
But we should
So,
at least hear her voice.
excuse me.
Because she's talking, she's
Excuse-
not talking to us. We
Yeah.
have to hear.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
she's talking to us. Okay.
So
Okay,
just to
so, excuse me.
summarize, we have addressed actually many of the comments that the planning board and its planner put forth in their December, what we got today. We did that before we got their comments, because we recognized that one of the big issues might be that existing single-family homes would be raised and built bigger, just to try and meet these minimums. So we modified the local law to essentially say that if your house was built prior to January 1st, 2019, then it's existing. And if it's in the zones that allow for this conversion, then these are then this is the square footage that's applied. You cannot make the house bigger on its footprint in order to meet these requirements without a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that eliminates that possibility of, for example, building a big house, calling it a single family, and then converting it later. So I think we have addressed that big concern of the planning board, which was a legitimate concern.
I have a point of information about this. There's a conforming, non-conforming whenever you look at any kind of zoning. And then there's three different, UBC, Universal Building Code, changed to international or national code. All the United States except for California and Hawaii. And so you can't exceed any of them codes. That as far as, and there's also the New York code, and then there's the fire code. I'd be careful about when it comes to three-family in changing that without really taking a look at it, because you can't exceed what the national code is.
Okay. All right, we all set? You're done, are you okay with telling us what you need to?
Yes.
Okay, we okay? Okay. All right, good. May I have a motion to adopt local law 5-2018 with the amendment of changing the 750 to 850?
And eliminating designations of bedroom count.
And, yeah, eliminating designation of bedrooms.
Yes.
Correct. You have that, Regina?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, may I have roll call?
Trustee Alward.
Aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor Denofrio.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We have an online auction to authorize.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Mayor, Elise, do we need to do the resolution with the SECR right now?
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you. We need.
Okay, we
I'm
have a
sorry.
seeker. Yeah, that's okay, it's right here.
We have to adopt seeker, and then I'm sorry, we have to re-adopt the local law.
Okay, no, that's okay. So you have before you the seeker resolution for negative declaration for the local law, amending the zoning law to reduce the minimum requirement square footage of existing dwellings units within the district which allows single-family homes to be converted to two-family homes. You have that before you. If you take a moment, and then if you feel you can make a motion, it would be time.
In order to do that, I have also drafted a Part 2 of the EAF, which the mayor will sign, and essentially the Part 2 simply, I have to get it,
Okay.
Part 2 goes through each of the 11 different criteria for whether or not there'll be an impact, small or large. In this case, I have marked no or small impact may occur.
primarily because we have addressed the issue of raising existing houses and building bigger houses. This will only apply to existing houses. Therefore, the footprints of the houses will not be changed. It is a special exception use, so that should there be any required site change to, for example, parking, that would be addressed by the planning board, and the planning board would be able to either mitigate or not grant it based on any environmental impact. So I have completed part 2. The mayor will sign it tonight, and now you can go forward with your negative declaration.
Is there, go ahead.
I'll move that we neg deck our action this evening and pass the seeker resolution.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor DiNapoli?
Aye. Motion carries.
And now I'm sorry, you
We'll
will
do the law.
have to be
And
adopted.
do I need permission for this
Permission?
to sign?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all.
May I have a motion to adopt the local law with the one change of 750 to 850? Merv made that motion earlier. You still with it?
I'm still with it.
And Charlie seconded it. May I have roll call?
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor DiNapoli?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Then I would just ask you to sign.
Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is for an online auction. This company will come in and auction off our surplus equipment. The town, it's being recommended to us by the police department chief, and the town uses them, and many other people in Orange County, many other communities. They seem to be getting, they're getting much more than us putting a legal ad in the paper and getting sealed bids. So I think it could be the way to go for us. Need authorization to sign. They receive money if they sell the item. We can reject any bid we wish. We can also then go out with any item we want. You reviewed this.
I did.
Thank
yes.
you. I see you shaking your head. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This goes back a little while.
Yes.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I did review it.
I'll second, Brian.
Motion by trustee Howard, second by trustee Livesey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Joe, I'm going to go back to the thing. When builders and contractors come into this village and they want to invest money, I hear from people, that's a great idea. Let them put money into our village. Some issues came up. Now, the one on Church Street was a two-family. It had been a two-family for a while. When the gentleman started rebuilding, he was told it's not a two-family anymore. So there were problems there. So I went in the house, I toured it with him. I was out in the middle of the lot speaking with him. And you're not going to believe this, but people thought that we were related or that I knew him and I'm the one who got him in here. We're not friends. He has never taken my wife and I out to dinner. Then he would be a friend. But until then, he's not a friend. The planning board is the one that's got to set these issues up. This is not just for this board here. We can't do that. But we also can't afford to tell people, well, you know, it's really tough. Yeah, I know you're going to invest, but you got to go through hoops and all that other stuff. That's not going to help us here to build as a village. It's not going to do that. Planning board needs to do what they need to do, and we need to do what we need to do. We agree with the planning board when they sent us this paper. We weren't saying it's got to be 750 because we said so. We were asked questions by people who are going to invest. Ask people who have bought buildings here. It takes a long time to get those businesses open. We understand that. So let me make it very clear. That's what happened. People came in, they wanted to invest in our village. We spoke with them. They had some concerns about it. It went to the planning board. Planning board says, hey, village, you gotta take a look at this, and that's what we did. And that's why we voted the way we did tonight.
Correct.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a resignation from a part-time police officer, Adam Mercudo, effective December the 10th, 2018, if we could accept it. You have his letter there.
Motion to accept with regret.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, I have a motion on the floor. May I have, I need to hear voices. All in favor? Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Just going back to his resignation letter, he wrote a little bit of a lengthy letter for resignation. He's been here since 2005. His wife was a pre-K teacher at Sacred Heart of Jesus School. Both his daughters attended the school. Friendships. Two events occurred in 2011. The school Sacred Heart of Jesus closed its doors for good. In 2014, due to medical issues, I found myself retiring from the New York City Police Department a few years premature. However, things have a way of working out. His wife began to work at the Sacred Heart preschool, which opened about a year later. You hired me as a part-time police officer. I was ecstatic to be part of the police department once again. I wore my uniform proudly. So he has regrets too with resigning, but he finds this that he has to do. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
Are you still out on workman's comp? Because I know you've gotten hurt. I'm just wondering.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Adam.
I have no clue what you're talking
All right, I'll
about.
speak to him.
Talk to Adam,
He's
because
taken a job in the city.
yeah, he's not on workman's comp. I don't know what you're talking about.
Police-related job.
I don't know where that comes from. Okay. Next, we have a police officer, David Yates. This young man has been on probation for a maximum of 78 weeks. It ends December the 19th, 2018. There's been no issues. This is a great guy right here. This is a nice young man. So if we could take him off probation, where he would start being off probation on December the 19th, 2018.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have another completion of probation from a part-time dispatcher, Stephanie D. Alazera, effective December the 4th, 2018. The chief recommends that she come off probation of 52 weeks.
I'll make a motion on that too.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Livesey, seconded by trustee Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. All. Hey guys, you gotta help me out. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
She's a very good dispatcher.
Very good. We have some good hires down there now. Completed probation of Public Works Supervisor Brent Coogan, effective December the 28th. Again, the end of this month, December 28th, 2018. He's being recommended to be taken off probation by John Jones, the interim superintendent of streets. Motion? Effective the 28th of December.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next. Next, we have the resignation of Chief Water Plant Operator Kevin Hurst, effective the 20th of February, 2019. Now, this is a department head who spent decades here.
30 years.
Yeah, and he's not going anywhere, which is the good news for us. And also, I have thanked him for allowing us the time to make arrangements to fill his position. There's already been some pre-meetings, and when we go into executive session tonight, I will fill the board in as to where we are at this point. But again, we have time to the 20th of February, but time goes by, and so that's why we're on it now. So if we could accept this resignation.
This is a tough one.
Yeah?
This is a tough one. Does everybody know Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll make a motion, but I don't like making a motion for this.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
I'll second, but if we don't pass it, do we get to keep it?
You get to keep that.
We tried that once, it didn't work. Okay, seconded by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Covering the meters, I had the guys do the meters on Friday, getting ready for Saturday, December 1 for the month of December. January 1, obviously the holiday, so it's till January 2. The purpose of covering the meters is to encourage folks to shop local. So you don't have to pay for meters the whole month, this whole month until the 2nd of January, but please shop local. May I have a motion that we cover the meters? I know they're covered, but we didn't take care of it at the last meeting.
I make a motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we have two requests. We have a request here for military banner program 2019. You have that before you. They want board approval, but I must remind the board that the telephone poles that these hang on are not ours to give permission for. So I can only suggest, we can encourage that they do it, which I do, but that they need to go to Orange and Rockland. It's like the lights, snowflakes that hang on there and the flags that hang on those poles. There had to be permission given from Orange and Rockland. So I would encourage that the folks heading those military banners approach Orange and Rockland. If they want a support letter from the village, I certainly would give it to them. Okay?
Absolutely, and I commend everybody involved with this. This is just a great thing.
Next, we have a community festival request. They would like, from the center, they would like to use, they're going to have vendors, merchandise, eateries, music. They have two dates on their proposed dates are May 11, 2019, and September 21, 2019. Yes, there's a West Point football home game, so on that second date, September 21. So they would like to use the parking lot number 2, which is across the street from Sacred Heart. We had the recreation director sign off.
And they have insurance.
They have the insurance, which hasn't been given in yet, so it'll be given in time.
Pending the insurance, I would move that we accept this request.
Good.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Murphy, second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so for the community to know, we had applied for a grant for the wastewater treatment plant. And we were given the max that could be given, which is 25% of the project. Some folks didn't get that 25%, but we did. We lobbied hard for it. So the village will receive $441,563. Now, I want to publicly thank, obviously, the governor, because that's who gave it to us, but more than, or just as much as that, it was Regina Taylor who bought, you'll remember this name, I used to bring it up to you guys once in a while, Russell Budd. Remember the name?
Sure.
Okay, so Russell met, there was a lot of homework here for the grant. Russell met with Regina and myself, the treasurer. I won't leave anyone out. And
Jim Scoofus did work on that one too.
not on this grant, but we thank him and Larkin. But we do thank, we thank everyone, believe me. You can get $441,000. So grants are out there. Grants can be put in for, but there's a couple ingredients that you need to get the grant, and one of them is a grant writer that's capable, maybe has done it before, knows the ins and the outs, and not only that, but knows people where the grant application is going. And that was Russell Budd. But again, it was Regina Taylor. Gina, I know the work that you put in this because I was downstairs every day. A lot of work. Another email from Russell. Another email from Russell asking for information. And information like this is not at your fingertips. So I suggest to everyone, we would not have gotten this grant if it wasn't for Regina. So Regina, in public, thank you. I've already thanked you privately downstairs, but thank you. You do a tremendous job. Thank you.
That's true.
And it's well deserved on the village's behalf. The other part of this that they gave us 25% of the repairs, and the rest will be a low interest, and we'll know. Let's see, guess in January we'll send the village a letter that will list additional information. So we're going to have to give more information to those folks that will give us hopefully a low. I love 0% interest loan. So we'll see in the next couple of months how much more we are able to achieve. Thank you so much. And I need permission to sign as you have the. Do you have this letter?
Yes.
It says, please confirm your acceptance of the grant award and intent to proceed with the project by December the 7th. So I'd like to be able to sign this tomorrow morning, and Regina will get it out. So if I could have permission to sign this.
Motion to grant permission for the mayor to sign correspondence so we can receive $441,000.
563.
563?
441,563.
Oh,
Don't
okay,
forget that.
$563.
I'll second that. Second by Trustee Livesey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we have bills and receipts in front of you. I know the bills were reviewed downstairs.
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board, Mr. Albert.
Yeah, for Kevin Hurst, it is a big loss to the community. I mean, who else would ask people to go down into a ditch with him at the middle of the night when something broke? So, he worked hard. He worked very hard. He was honest, he was always here, always ready to work. If a pipe broke, he was the first one out there, so he will certainly be missed. We had a busy weekend. We had, Santa was at the library, they had a bake sale. Decorations look great. Over in Lady Cliff, they look great. Memorial Park, they look great all over the place. The lights are nice. It's nice to come down through Main Street at night and see them all lit up. I think it makes the village look good. It's time to be doing that kind of stuff. It wasn't that expensive, the LED lights. People have asked me, why didn't you spend the money on something else? You can't really take the money that we spent there and fix the entire streets that need to be fixed. They're two different pots. It's something that the village needs. The feedback's been very positive from people. They're enjoying it. And the kids liked it. The kids love it. The whole idea of seeing Santa and everything else went over very, very well. When we were talking about a gentleman leaving the police department, he's left because he has the opportunity to lead the department of the New York State peace officers. He got a promotion, he's now lieutenant, and he's going to go back to the New York City Police Department. Now, that's the reason he left. Am I going to sit up here and say there are people who leave because they're unhappy? Yes, there are. There are. But not everybody who leaves is unhappy. People say to me, oh, you got a whole lot of people leaving. Well, people do leave. If you can get a better job and you can move on and it has something to do with your family, yes, people are going to move. And I'm glad they are. If they can advance, I think that's great. I just wanted to clear that up, so in case you thought it was something else. And he's not on comp at all. This guy's not on comp. Sheriff?
A couple things I have is we've all noticed that we're getting a lot of rain lately and all of that. We really have to make sure that we're prepared for ourselves with all this kind of rain. And one thing we have to make sure is a lot of that rainwater that's going in the basements isn't going to the sewage treatment plant. So that actually is very illegal to do that. You're supposed to pump that out of your basements onto your lawn. So we want to make sure, because the filling of the sewage treatment plant, the capacity of that is going to overflow if everybody were to do that with their basement. So we want to make sure that you have something set up for inside your basements. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is if there's an emergency at your home. We're coming into the winter time, and I really think a lot of residents here in the village and in Fort Montgomery ought to realize at night, what if an emergency happens in my home? Am I ready for 911? Am I ready for the ambulance to come here? Am I ready for the police to come here? And I have to tell you, being with the ambulance corps, it's very, very difficult coming up to somebody's home sometimes. Number one, trying to find the number of the home, and number two, trying to have access into the home. And the more harder it is for emergency to get inside your home, the longer it takes to help you out. So that's another thing a lot of residents should really look for and say to themselves, how easy is my access, and is my house easy to number out? Believe me, you'll be shocked if you've seen how many houses you can't read. The other thing I want to talk about, and I want to give a big thank you out to a lot of people, and I know I'm going to miss some, but the Howland Falls Library, Vision, the Center, the Village, what a wonderful weekend this was here in the village of Howland Falls. I mean, it really was. And for the kids, God almighty, you talk about big smiles from ear to ear. These kids were very, very fortunate. I've spoke to some people. They just couldn't believe what took place here in the village. That's a great thing. That's what keeps a good, strong community together. That was very enjoyable seeing. A lot of smiles. This weekend, December 8th, if you've ever been to Museum Village before in Monroe, they have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas event going on out there. It opens up at 12, and that's December 8th. We spoke about Mountain Avenue. In my opinion, it's horrible. I just, you know, as the mayor is saying, I mean, I think next Sunday they're talking about a snowstorm coming in. That's not going to last. That patch that they put out there, it's not going to last. I just hope this isn't a finger-pointing contest of who's going to do it. It's not ours, it's yours. And I think we should really start making some polls to make sure that doesn't happen.
Just let me interject.
Yeah.
That's not going to be one of the issues, finger pointing. I've had several conversations on the phone, already one on site.
Okay.
They know it's theirs.
Okay.
The issue is going to be, what are they going to do to remedy it? And that's what I'm going to take up.
Right.
I'll take up Thursday.
Right. Another thing I want to just look at, I don't walk my dog around Roe Park no more. He walks me. And as we were walking around Roe Park, I looked up on a mountain where possibly there's going to be a new hotel. It's extremely visible now. Okay, so if there's a hotel up there and you're down by Roe Park, you're going to see a monstrous hotel up on top. My concern, not just as a village trustee, as a resident of the village of Howland Falls, is what's happening up there right now. There's a lot of Jersey barriers up there now, so it's sort of all blocked in. And it makes me nervous, a piece of property like that, that's just sitting vacant. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it going to change hands? If it changes hands, what's it going to be? And the reason for all of this concern is, again, the visibility that folks are going to be looking at down in that park area. Now, I would really like the board, that I think we should, and we spoke about this before, to contact them just for a discussion to find out where they are and what's happening with that piece of property. Is there anything moving forward? Is there any progress? Is there something we can tell the residents here in the village of Howland Falls, hey, this is what's going on with the property up there now? Again, it just, vacant property makes me nervous, especially when it's on the taxes right now. What's going to happen with it? And I'd really like to know soon, and I want to keep pushing as we kept pushing before.
So, Elise, should we have a meeting with the principals, which I question who the principals are even, or do we write them a letter through you and ask for this information? What would you think about that?
I would like to consider that because some of the information might be proprietary. I think a general, maybe just a call into Mr. Luke's. I guess he's still the person.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking there. Some Goshen.
The other thing to remember is that this board did ask Trustee Ramus to be the, the liaison. So perhaps Trustee Ramus could reach out to Mr. Luke's. The other thing, of course, is always ask the building inspector if there have been any permits pulled. No? Okay.
I just think we really need to keep doing this. We know what happened with former Nicole's restaurant, and that's just sort of sitting here empty now. So I want to make sure that we're moving with this stuff. The other thing, I'm almost done here, is garbage. When you put your garbage out, it's extremely windy out. We know what's going to happen with the garbage. The other time garbage was put out, and I'm going to talk in my area, everybody just put the garbage out. The garbage went all over the place. So we got to make sure that the garbage guys, we got to make it easier for them. Kevin Hurst, we can't talk. I mean, there's so much to say about Kevin. I mean, he was a great guy. And lastly, the workshop that we had here. I think that was good. I think that was good. A lot of information was put out on what we're doing, the village board, what we've been working on, what kind of projects we have going. There was a lot of information put out. So for people that are interested in what's happening in the village of Howland Falls, the workshop was good. It's a good place to go.
Go to the village website and you can pull up that meeting.
The last meeting, right. That's it.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, beautification and vision just did a spectacular job decorating the village. I didn't see the northern end of Main Street until Sunday evening, and it is exquisite. And the flower boxes that Vision put in with the lighting on it now is spectacular. Even the trim on Village Hall, which is new to me, that
Holiday
looks
cheer.
great. On Mountain Avenue at the workshop, we talked briefly. There have been complaints from residents about why does the village shovel the sidewalks on Mountain Avenue and not elsewhere in town. I did reach out to the school superintendent about it to see if we have opportunities to cooperate, either through earlier notice about when the schools are closed, so the kids we know aren't going to be on the sidewalks, and if there are any opportunities to share the responsibility to ensure that those sidewalks are cleaned up. I have not gotten a definitive answer back, but at least the lines of communication.
No Bobcat yet.
Well, I mentioned the Bobcat, and they do use it on their sidewalks, and I'm hoping that they'll expand a little north and south. We share a concern about the kids getting to school safely, and especially given the lousy condition of Mountain Avenue, we don't want them walking in the road. The only update from the building department is that there have been 14 complaints received for the week of November 4th through November 10th. 11 violations ordered to remedy were issued. 3 advisory notices, 3 advisory notices were corrected, and 1 new one was issued. And I think that's essentially it, but I would like to throw one idea out to the board, that perhaps when we have these workshop meetings, we feature one department and begin to discuss maybe 5-year plans for those individual departments. So we have a little more board interaction with the department heads. That might be especially valuable as we bring on a new water head.
The 5-year plans is something that I had previous and actually held us to those 5-year plans. They weren't just something on paper. They've all been told to prepare their 5-year plans, bringing us into budget workshops real soon. So we'll have the 5-year plans. Yeah. Thank you. I'll do mine after. Let's see, what's next? Public comment.
I do have 20 years experience in construction long before I moved here. A building inspector, his job should be to see that the jobs done under his supervision should be, his job is to see that work is done safely and that he helps whoever is putting something forth to him. As near as I can tell in talking with friends, our building inspector is not the most forthcoming, and as you can tell by people trying to open businesses here, by the way, it's not a consolidation issue, it's a personnel issue. We have one business that's been trying to open for God knows how long, it's not open yet. This very nice woman wants to do a truck. I understand you have a contract, but the comments made about bringing in a food truck that might somehow affect the restaurants here, well, it should. If the restaurants are that threatened by somebody new coming in, maybe they should up their game. And I think maybe there is a way, you say you can't do this until July. I think everybody deserves a chance. Competition is the way things improve. By settling on what's already here, quite frankly, when we have visitors, we don't take them out here, we go elsewhere. And if that food truck moved in and the Carney place opened, I might be able to get rid of my stove. So sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. That part, by the way, is not true. And no, he does a lot of cooking. Anyway, I think one extra food truck, 5 extra food trucks, if it makes the restaurants move up, if it gives people other options, so be it. And the building around here, it should not take people as long to open a business here as it does. I mean, we've had some great growth lately. It'd be good to see more. And I, for one, would welcome a new food truck. Thank you.
Listen, let me answer a couple of things.
God bless you.
I feel you know this, that the building department is, whether it's on our agenda or not, is spoke about almost every meeting here.
Yeah.
No one is more frustrated than I am. As a matter of fact, I have to hold back
Me too.
It's not run right as far as I'm concerned, but that's my opinion. But I'm kind of hearing it from you and other people. When it was made, a comment was made about the bakery, I forget the exact words, about the bakery having a hard time, that was not by the village board. I mean,
No,
I'm not
I
saying it to you,
understand.
I'm in there every day. I think it's great. Okay, wait a minute. It was the building department. The
Right.
reason the fella isn't opened up over here, it's the building department. Now, I'm not saying he should give carte blanche, of course,
Of course
there's
not.
safety issues, there's legal issues,
Right.
there's a book that thick that he has to go by.
Right.
But I have been told that he'll come in, I've heard this many times, so I feel it could be true. He'll come in and he'll say, okay, for you to get a CO, you're gonna have to do ABC. So they go and do ABC. And they spend money to do ABC, and they take 2 months to do ABC, and then on
they're
the
refused.
beginning of the third month, when he comes back to see if they did do ABC, oh, you did ABC,
D,
but
E,
now there's
F.
D, E, and F.
Yep.
See, that you can't do.
Right.
That's not good, that's not good. That's not a good way to do business.
I know.
They should be given a punch list. You know, if something falls through the crack, that has to be corrected. I understand that. I understand that.
But not
there-
constant roadblocks.
Listen, there's major problems. The funeral home. The funeral home is the best kept piece of property in this village.
Right.
Joe D'Onofrio's opinion, along with many others. They do things right. They want to do things right.
It's the end all in business.
Okay, as of a few days ago, they still don't have permission to do what they want to do down there.
Somebody
I
I
mean,
know,
really?
someone
I mean,
I know
really?
asked to get the regulations on doing a certain thing in their house. They were refused.
Okay.
Somebody else wanted to do a simple job, and they were told, you have to do in addition to the expensive permits, that you had to do a $5,000, I want to say, not retainer, but, I don't know, proof that you did the job. I've never heard of such a thing. 20 years construction, building some really fine homes.
We all have these issues about the building department. I don't, and I'm getting upset, talking nice, pleading, begging, none of that has worked.
Maybe retirement will happen.
Well, he's a young guy. He's not gonna retire.
Kathy Guy, a village resident. I also want to say thank you for everything this weekend. Vision did a great job. Without giving anything away, because there are probably little ones in homes where this might be watched. Trustee Livesey, outstanding. That's all I can say, is absolutely outstanding. You are an asset to this community. The Ladies Auxiliary, Chamber of Commerce and the Center are hosting a Veterans Luncheon on December 15th at the Legion Hall. If there are any veterans out there watching, you want, please contact us, and we'll put you on our list. And last but not least, many meetings that I've come to here, the mayor always acknowledges dignitaries who come in, and yet you failed to acknowledge Lori, our duly elected legislator, and I think that was not nice.
It's not a question of not being nice. When I look out there, I really don't even see one particular person. Lori, is she here? Lori, I was going to ask you to stand up. Come up here, please. Lori, it wasn't a question of not being nice.
Oh, no, I didn't.
In fact, I don't know when you even moved. I didn't know you were.
No worries, no
I
worries.
actually didn't know you were here. So
I actually
thank
do
you.
have a public comment.
Can I?
Sure,
Can I thank you
sorry.
for being here?
You're welcome.
Public comment.
I wanted to
Thank
let
you,
the board
Kat,
know
wherever you went.
that I voted no. Recently, we're still in the process of voting on the county budget, and I will continue to vote no because to me, there are some municipalities that are getting a 0.0591% decrease, but the communities that I represent and several others are seeing an increase. I oppose the budget on several reasons. One is that we're approving raises for the central staff of this county executive that were already given out in March. And it's to the tune of over $2 million, or close to it. So at this point, and this was what we got from the budget people, it's a 4.37% increase per thousand for the Village of Highland Falls. in the county tax rate. We brought it down by, I think, another 1/10 or 0.2%, and we'll get the final numbers once we see if the county executive approves or vetoes anything that's coming through on the budget. We'll vote again on Thursday on it, but I want to let you know that I wholeheartedly disagree with this, and I will see what I can do to try and alleviate the tax burden as much as I can.
Lori, thank you for your hard work.
You're welcome.
I know what it's like. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Anything else? Yes,
You want to go?
let's go.
Well, first off, happy holidays to you all. Secondly, I think I'm feeling a little crushed, maybe, from Kat's comment, because I don't think I've seen such a better Santa in my life than I did on Saturday in the library. So I'm not sure who was a real Santa, and I still believe
Something
it.
else, I was there, I
So
said.
I think it was very,
It was something.
it says a lot that we were able to bring them down from the North Pole
Oh, yeah.
in the month of December.
Mrs. Claus didn't come.
She's still working. Thirdly, though, I did attend the workshop, and one of you mentioned the importance of attending that, and I think that's a good session, and would encourage people to do that. There was a lot of comments about the wastewater treatment plant made during that. A lot of confusion about the wastewater treatment plant in terms of what trustees knew and didn't know. It appears as if 3 trustees were still not aware of any contract award to a particular contractor who, I think the News of the Highland mentioned the contractor was Philip Galoo. And it just strikes me as concerning that a contract was awarded. This is what I went into coming out of that meeting, that a contract was awarded without the village board going through the process that you go through quite often to do that. And that some village trustees may not have been aware of that. And so
I need to correct you there.
Okay.
You say that that's the second time you've said the trustees. It was the trustees and the mayor, not the trustees. It was the mayor and the trustees. So use it, that's
Okay.
how it went down.
So the 3/5 of the village board was not aware
I would
of the
say,
awarded contract.
I would say the whole village board.
Was not aware.
That's what I just said to you, trustees and mayor.
Okay,
No
because.
big deal, I just
Okay.
need to correct the information.
Okay, so they were not aware of the
Excuse me.
award? They were not, so the
Well, I
village,
don't know, you gotta ask every one of us if you want, but no, for me.
okay, so the village board was not aware of the award of a
The
contract?
entire, the mayor and the trustees.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because, yeah, thanks, I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I've also received some information that there was no bid package for the work that was being done at the wastewater treatment plant. That the department had received one proposal that was attached back in December of last year, and that the board did not accept this proposal, and the department had received 2 verbal quotes. And so I'm thinking, okay, so what's going on with this? And then I'm also getting some information that there is no contract. That may be why the village board wasn't aware of a contract, because in fact, there was no contract between the village and the contractor for the work that was being done at the wastewater treatment plant at the time of the fire. And so I'm thinking, and there's also no documentation on the agreed price for the work to be done at the wastewater treatment plant. So I'm trying to figure out how, what's happening, how is this getting out of control? It was mentioned last meeting that it's around $2 million in damage. I'm not sure if that's the insurance adjuster estimate or if that's what our engineer says. I think it was stated the engineer came up with that last time. So it just seems like there's something going on that is tremendously out of process, that the decision makers aren't making the decision. They're not aware of any decision. Work is being awarded. There doesn't seem to be any paperwork also about any firm price on what was going to be awarded to the contractor.
It doesn't appear as if, because the comment was made that a letter was sent at the end of October asking the contractor to provide insurance, documentation of insurance, yet the fire took place, if I remember correctly, the 15th of August. And so that raises the question of how did this person get the authorization? Who provided the authorization? And if the answer to that is a department head did that, then who is providing the supervision of the department head to ensure that that type of action isn't taken without the proper vetting of the contractor, without ensuring proper insurance was in place? And as you all mentioned tonight, every time there's any kind of activity that is seeking board approval, there needs to be insurance associated with that. Was there proper licensing? Was there proper vetting of this contractor? And now we're looking at somehow being made whole for $2 million or so at the wastewater treatment plant. My experience with insurance companies, if they're the ones that are going to make us whole, is that they're not in the business of making people whole, they're in the business of making a profit. And so they may cover the bill, but there will be a downside of increased insurance rates or possibly dropping us, which will make us tremendously more difficult, in my opinion, to get insured in the future. Or perhaps what they're going to do is go after the contractor. Perhaps that's the appropriate thing for them to be doing, but if the contractor doesn't have insurance, I'm not sure what the wherewithal of the contractor is to be able to pony up $2 million or so. And so that probably means, if I understand insurance properly, they're going to be coming back to the village. So there's just a whole lot of questions that I have in mind. It reminded me of some things that I remember seeing a while ago. This goes back to a comptroller report back in 2012, in which some audit results were stating that the board needs to develop and or ensure compliance with existing policies and procedures. The board at that time is responsible for ensuring that the village purchases the desired quality and quantity of goods and services at the most favorable terms and or lowest cost. A lot of discussion about the procurement policy, needing to follow the policy, when you need to have written quotes, when you need to have verbal quotes, thresholds. This is all in the policy that we do have. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe things have changed. And so I looked at the job descriptions for both the mayor and the trustees, and nowhere that I can see in a job description that gives an individual member of the board the authorization to expend or to, well, quote here, in addition, trustees do not possess any power in their individual capacities to enter into contracts or other agreements or to approve payments of contracts on behalf of the municipality. Any officer or person who assumes to create a liability or appropriate money or property of the village without authority may become personally liable either for the debt or to the village for the money or property. So if Mr. Galoo can't pay the price and the insurance comes back, are they going to be looking at whoever was the decision maker for this? Bottom line is, I don't think any of us taxpayers want to be stuck with a bill like this. And so that concludes my public comment. I would also like to say, go Army, beat Navy.
A little shorter than Jim. One thing I forgot to mention was recently we had Shop Small Saturday. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for all that they did for Shop Small Saturday here. I know Jim and Kat were very instrumental in that. A lot of people came out. They had tote bags, signage, and we spent a lot of good money on our Main Street. And I just want to remind everybody, it doesn't just have to be our Saturday, Shop Small Saturday. No. Stocking stuffers, get the gift certificates from our local restaurants and local stores, or Lily of the Valleys has wonderful merchandise to give as gifts for everybody in the family. So please, let's support our businesses on our main streets and try to avoid the big box stores and support mom and pops. For every dollar we spend on Main Street, I think it's equivalent of $20. I can't remember the exact figure that came from the statistics, but please, let's support all of our local businesses, get the gift certificates, get the merchandise.
Thank you.
And I second
You're
that.
so right.
Go Army, beat Navy.
Olga Anderson, Highland Falls. I wanted to thank Jim for doing all the due diligence that he did around the background to the sewer treatment disaster that we had. My only comments are that somebody was negligent and there's consequences to that. So I really sincerely hope that we can get to the bottom of it. The fact that insurance may reimburse, I think, is really secondary to the fact that something serious happened and it could have been more serious. I am just grateful that there were no injuries, nobody was hurt. God forbid somebody was hurt, we wouldn't be treating, I think we'd be treating this much more seriously.
Patrick Flynn, 1 Muller Avenue. One, I want to thank those board members that are actually paying attention to the people that are doing the public comment. And people need to know how difficult it is to get up here. And I want to thank each and every person that has come up here and brought up issues. Because it's not easy. Even if it's 100% beneficial to this community, you're looked at as a loose cannon or a pot stirrer. And who are you to come up here and say anything? So I want to thank each and every one of you, because what I've heard tonight is everything about bettering this village. In the paper a week or so ago, there was a letter to the editor about we need to work together, be positive. I think that's what we are doing. If you don't have people looking out for the village, things like some of the issues that are happening right now, and issues that we can't get out of, are happening. And that's why it is so important. If you can't get up here, there are advocates that will get up here and at least bring things to light. This is not about a fight. This is not us versus them. We are in this together. And if we're truly in it together, every meeting should contain something about consolidation. Because that is the only way this community will survive monetarily. And everyone, you know, we can put up all the flowers and lights, and I think that I commend the groups that came out. Awesome job. But more and more families are leaving the community because they cannot afford the taxes, and what they are given here is minuscule compared to other communities that pay half that in taxes. And that is the job of the administration to fix that. And I would like to see more discussion on consolidation. The one thing I came to ask, the main thing I came to ask is for myself. I know there was some discussion off camera, but there's still yet to be any vote on a policy on inflatables for this community. According to the insurance company, other communities that are yes or no for it actually vote. Now, there have been several things done. Police telling people they can't put an inflatable up with no policy on the books. There is nothing in our code that says you can't have a bounce house up. Nothing. So I would appreciate it if you were going to take someone's livelihood away, if you were going to deny a 5-year-old a better birthday, that there actually be something in writing and a policy, and you put your name to it, and you say that this community, unlike every community in Rockland, Orange, and Ulster, we don't want inflatables because a certain people does them, and that's that. So that's all. I'm asking for a policy to be made. One way or the other. You can go against it if you want. Just remembering that I hope you do the same thing with the fireworks, because that is the exact same situation the inflatables are in. I can't believe that we did not allow a food truck into this community. Years ago, a food truck did want to come in. I was on the board, and we did say no. It was an out-of-town food truck, non-locals, and I personally was worried about bringing a lot of out-of-town people in to compete against local people that are paying taxes. But when you have a local person that is living in the community, paying taxes, and is trying to benefit our community and our business community, which we need it. I'm just amazed that we're not stepping over ourselves to do what we can. And be fair. You can still be fair to what's out there. That's the whole point of having a board, is to change rules and to do things for the betterment of the community. I want to thank James Skoufis. In the paper, he was responsible for a part of this grant. Now we're hearing is not. James is involved in everything in this community. And I congratulate him on his win, on his victory, and look forward to his leadership for our community. I also want to thank Lori Tatel, because it's great to see our county legislator at a meeting giving us information. Do we need to know it? I think we do. And I thank Lori for doing that, and I know we'll see her more and more, because even though the county tax money is a whole different pot, it's still our money. It's our money, and we need to know where it's going and what's being done, so that come next time, we know that Lori is the person to support. Because not only did she do the right thing, but she let us know. And I think knowledge is power. Kevin Hurst, the dedicated employee that he is, congratulations on your new ventures, Kevin. We wish you the best. This first time I'm hearing this gentleman, Russell, I was in office for 4 years. I would have loved to have that information to go after grants. I would ask that if there is information about people that know how to write grants or have connections with other people that have grants, that be shared with everybody. So that not only, because the village and the town that we pay taxes to, but the Chamber of Commerce and Vision. So that if there's something they're looking to do to benefit this community, they can also utilize these tools that we have. Stop keeping everything under a bowl, let the light shine. Building department. Bottom line, buck stops here. We are in charge of the building department. He is not in charge of us. If he's not doing his job, or he's not doing it to our satisfaction, he needs to be dealt with. If the village board can't go to the town board and get it done, why are we here? That's a question I have. He's an employee of this town. We are part of the town. The village and the town are together, and that's the way we should be. And if we have more consolidation, it wouldn't be an issue. Because it'd be one person in charge. When residents got upset, it would be dealt with. We've got to stop passing the buck. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. And start getting things done. And lastly, just to bank off of what was already said, the article in the paper about the wastewater treatment plant, there was a statement, but yet no follow-up on, we will be made whole. I don't know if we should be making that statement unless we know how, and if we already know how, I would like to know as a resident how we are going to be made whole. You answered everyone else's questions. I was just wondering if you could answer that
I'm
one.
going to answer a lot of what you just said.
Fantastic.
Have a seat.
I'll wait. Oh, okay.
No, we're done now, because everyone got more than 3 minutes. Thank you. I'm following your rule. Number
Not really.
one.
Joe, can I talk one more time, please? Just 2 seconds, literally. First, Merv, I want to apologize. I am a passionate person, and sometimes that comes across.
It's all good,
And if you think I misspoke, I don't, but I am sorry.
by
If you
no
think I
means,
did.
I'm a big eater, and I'd probably be your best customer. The only thing is, right now, we are not ready to be able to bring more vendors in. There's work that has to be done, there's paperwork, we're not ready to do this. We don't know what the future has to tell, but right now, we're just not ready. Go ahead, I'm sorry. But apology accepted, no problem. No apology necessary.
And also the military thing, I'm sorry I said what you said.
Everything is
I
good.
remember you saying that, I also remember saying you were getting on the helicopter, like, I love all that.
Everything's good.
Okay, and now I'm gonna say this and don't take offense. I honestly, I don't see, it's one of those doubles. I don't know how you were leading the comments on the food truck when you have a food truck. I don't, I
Well,
under,
You know, my biggest thing is right now, just so everybody knows, yes, I do have a food truck. And it has nothing to do, what I do, my business down in Fort Montgomery, nothing to do with Howland Falls here. Absolutely nothing. My business is Palisades Parkway, Bear Mountain. That's it. And to be quite honest with you, probably this entire summer long, due to things that's going on with my family and other situations, there's not much going on with the food truck at all.
right,
Okay, just to let you all know that.
okay. Mayor D'Onofrio, when we had a sit down, I would, you know, you had referenced that it could be as easy as to make another spot. Was that even an option that was discussed?
Sure, no, yes, absolutely.
And was the law looked at? Because it says that as long as it's not a nuisance, like, let me just ask this, can you guys re-talk about it? I joked around when I walked in, right, and I said, I think we're gonna become familiar to each other. To Mr. Itsizi,
Yes.
I feel like you guys are gonna get to know me just like him. I want this for my family. So if we could talk about it next time as well, if you could look over the actual laws that are written for our village, what it says. It doesn't say anything about one spot. I don't know what contract you made or,
It was the contract when we opened up for bids.
so the contract, a contract is made and it's different than the law that's made.
It's consistent with the law, but the contract is for a specified period of time.
What was the contract made off of? Like, we're gonna make this contract with Mr. Marvin based off of me reading.
Direct your questions to the board.
Yeah, it was
Everybody
not,
keeps looking at you, so I just
I
looked
know, I
at you
don't know
naturally. You're the one that gets people out of trouble.
ultimately it was Mr. Marvin, but it was an open bid process. And he won the bid. And the contract was made for one spot with him.
And they looked at the law and said, okay, we're going to allow a vendor because in this law, it says we are gonna put out a bid for one vendor and let that person, that's
To be honest with you, it was a hard-fought battle to get that one spot. There was a fair consistency on this board that people didn't want any vendor. So this was a move in the direction that could conceivably support.
No, I
it in the
understand that you
future.
guys didn't want it, and I understand that you approved it, I'm just asking where the approval came from. Like, you opened a book that said, we're gonna vote on this, and we're gonna allow one vendor to bid. Like, that came from somewhere, that was just made up, that's in the,
One vendor spot open to a competitive bid.
that's what the contract says, right?
Well, the contract is with Mr. Marvin for one.
Let's talk about, let's
Next
distinguish
time?
between, no, let's distinguish between contract and
Code,
local
right?
code.
Yeah, local
I think
code
that's where
doesn't
we're
say anything
getting-
about one spot. That's what I'm asking, where did the
I
one
don't-
spot?
Yeah, I would have, we would have to look at it.
You didn't look at the code.
Pardon?
We looked at the code, but I'm concerned about the contract, the contractual, not the
Because it was
code.
stated that the village was gonna be sued, which I don't think is a reason to live out of fear. Because Mr. Marvin stated that if you put another spot,
I haven't heard any.
I've heard it, so,
Well, I don't think the board members have heard.
okay. Well, that was what was stated, so I don't know, like, there has to be like, yes, we followed this is what we did, this is why we're voting this way. It can't just be like, okay, we'll make a contract and we'll make one spot for a bid. That's not how law works.
Let me just try and address, okay.
You're right.
This is all legal stuff.
Wait a minute, a contract can't do that, you're right.
The point is that the board decided they wanted to open one spot. They went out to bid for one spot. That spot is his until July because that's the contract. Villages can contract. It has nothing to do with what's allowed by local law. I would have to even look at that because I'm not sure what you're talking about. But in any event, assuming that there is something on the code that says the board can decide to allow vendors of some sort, that's fine, they can do that. They decided they would have one spot, competitively bid, they would draft, and the contract, so it was bid, the contractor won the contract, he got the contract for a year. If the board wants to open up a second spot, that's something that the board can do, I assume, but they don't want to do that. They're not, they want one spot. That's what they decided to do as a board.
The board isn't law. The law is law.
I'm not going to discuss the law with you. If the board wants me to look at the code, I'd be happy to do that.
That would be great. I thought that would have been done before a decision was made, honestly.
That, you know, for me, that would be fine, but again, just for the record out there, I don't know, in the future, would something be nice of having maybe 5 different kind of food vendors in a municipal lot? But for right now, you have to be able to say, this is a spot, this is a spot, this is a spot, these are the locations for the vendors. We don't have anything like that right now. We're not even close to anything like that. So it's something right now where this, in my feeling, has been a very fast approach. And if you remember the meeting last time when we were talking about the first vendor spot, I wasn't too much on this. You sold me on a great food day, you were saying that you had, for sure. But again, this is something that, you know, I would agree, I'd like to hear if there's an answer from you on some of these questions, if there's maybe more discussion, but as of right now, my feeling would remain that there's one spot.
We just have to get with the times.
You know?
Just out of curiosity, have you approached the town?
I haven't. I never in a zillion years even thought, because I read the code before I even came to you guys. Never did I think I would have a hard time. Yes, of course I heard Jesse Marvin had a hard time. You hear everything even when you don't live here. I just moved back here and I still heard 25 minutes away. That's the way Highland Falls is. So no, I didn't go to them yet. Since I've been sitting here, my phone has been going off. I already have 5 spaces where I can sit that are private. That's not what I want. I want a food truck to come to Highland Falls and to be in the middle of Highland Falls so that people come out of West Point, which is right here, to a veterans food truck. It's great. It's a great thing. It's a great thing for us. It's a great thing for the village. It's a great thing for the town. It gives people more food choices. If someone's sitting here saying, well, we have the best food choices, it's not happening. That's the other thing. I want to apologize to the 2 businesses I referenced. I didn't mean to reference anybody. I just had names going through my head, so I said them. I know it's hard to own a business. I know it's hard to change. I know it's hard to adapt. So no malice towards anyone who currently runs a business in this village or town.
Could the chamber give us an opinion on what they would like to see, a yes or no? Please.
I'm not prepared to do that tonight.
I understand, but could you do that for us?
We could certainly.
At our next meeting, could we have a decision on how the chamber feels, with a yes or no?
It may not be.
Thank you.
I don't think I can do it that fast.
Okay, how fast?
It'd probably have to be after the new year.
What does that mean? In January?
The January meeting.
Okay, we'll take it in January.
I would appreciate that too, Jim. I would be very curious about how the chamber,
Businesses, not the chamber members. I'm talking about businesses.
I'm in the
Not
chamber.
individuals that are related to some organization.
I mean,
Businesses.
I would
Businesses.
That are members of the chamber.
There's not many, but at least we'll get their opinion.
I'd be interested.
Thank you, hon.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. All right. We're done with that. Close public comment and you guys, okay? I'm going to continue. Okay. Can I continue the meeting? Thank you. Okay, I would like to cancel the meeting on December the 17th, which is our next regular workshop meeting. There will be an early morning meeting just to pay bills, and if an emergency arises, fine. Other than that, it'll be to pay bills that morning. Gina, I have a motion to do that. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brian Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much. So there's been a lot of thank yous going out, but when you start to thank people, I know when I do, I always leave someone out. So with everyone that was giving thanks, there were, which I was going to do, but it's nice that other people are. I'll go through my list. So I want to thank, this is the Village Beautification Committee, who did a tremendous amount of work with the lights, all the white lights, Memorial Park, a lot of what was done on Main Street, Village Hall. Susan Wicks, Janet Dutt, Renata Farmer, Elaine McConnell, who's the president of the Garden Club, Warren Wicks, Susan Wicks' husband, Jody Downey, Lauren Bell, again Vision, again the library. The DPW did a tremendous amount of work over and above their normal things that they have to take care of. So I want to especially thank the DPW. The Wallkill Valley Bank just down the street here for providing the refreshments at the community Christmas lighting. Randy Mesh, Fire Department. And as was done, I also want to thank, somebody asked me, well, who is Santa? And I said, who is Santa? Santa is Santa. So I want to thank Santa also. He comes to Highland Falls a lot. A lot. To Mr. Flynn, I have 2 or 3 answers. Let's see. We are not the building department nor the building inspector's boss. This was a big discussion before we consolidated the building department. I remember the question being asked, well, what if the building department doesn't take care of something? This is several years ago. What if they don't take care of something? Well, you just go to the town board. Well, I can tell you, Murph, have you been to anyone on the town board about the building department? Because I don't want to leave you out. Because I know Mr. Howard has. I know you have. And God knows I have. And let me tell you something. The town board knows it. It wasn't like a surprise. It's up to them to do something if they see something needs to be done. We can inform them, which we have, and we will continue. Something was mentioned about no insurance for the fireworks. I wish these comments weren't made. This I thought was straightened out maybe like a month ago. It was said that the insurance, there's no insurance company for the dog social, the boat ride for senior citizens, and fireworks. That's not accurate.
I didn't say there's no
excuse me,
insurance.
excuse me.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Don't misquote me then,
I have
sir.
so much more to tell the community. Excuse me.
You're lying.
Excuse.
Next.
Whoa. Whoa.
Fact.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, all you want. It's a fact.
Pat, I'm going to ask you to be quiet. You had a couple turns, and now it's my turn.
You had a lot of turns.
Now it's my turn, okay? So please be quiet. I'm asking you.
Don't misquote me.
I'm telling you that I want the community to know, and you can believe it or not. But there was always insurance for the dog social. The senior citizen boat ride actually had insurance, but didn't need it because it was West Point. And the fireworks have always had insurance, except for 4 years, which I don't want to get into that. Number 2.
Again,
There was one more thing. Oh, the building department. Okay. So that's that. I appreciate all the work that folks did, that when we go out there tonight, whether you're alone or you're with someone in the car, you're going to say to yourself or to the person in your car, wow, this looks great. And I can tell the community, we're not done yet. Okay? I have a note here that I would like to read. Not enough of these notes come in. Joe referenced the Village Hall employees Regina Taylor and Anna Sierra. Recently, I visited the Village Hall to obtain a copy of my birth certificate needed to apply for a passport. Apparently, this guy's beautiful printed, doesn't he? Apparently, original records did not contain the required information. Regina and Anna had to make additional telephone inquiries to various county and state agencies performing research. Needless to say, we are very fortunate to have such dedicated public servants who are willing to go that extra mile to provide services. Please extend my many, many thanks, Ted Nielsen. Thank you, Gina. And I'll give this to you tomorrow to show to Anna. I'm sorry.
Joe, why is it that you're so tuned into what I'm saying?
Well, I can hear you. I don't know.
You know what? When people are standing up, you're ignorant because you're walking, talking, shuffling papers. Why don't you give the same amount of attention to the person
Do me a
that's
favor.
speaking?
Do me a favor. Get up to the microphone and say that.
I have nothing to say to you. I just
No.
look at you. Just
You don't want to say that?
What do you want me to stand up and say?
What you just said.
I'm telling you, just like she's telling you.
Well, you're supposed to talk at the
Why does our
microphone.
attorney stand up and face the people and tell the people instead of facing the wall and talking to you?
So, I have some letters here to
Great.
Santa.
Ignorant.
I didn't hear you, I'm
You
sorry.
didn't hear what I said. I said you're ignorant. Every person that stood up there had something to say, as Pat had said. You gave no one your attention.
That's not true at all. You want to see my
You were
notes?
making out with Brian. I didn't know what you were doing in that corner there for a minute, and then rubbing on Merv. Maybe I saw something that shouldn't have been. I'm just guessing.
Maybe it's your type of thinking. No,
Thank you.
You think
I
it's
don't
funny?
know. It looks
All right,
awful
wait.
cozy to
Are
me.
you-
Why would somebody
Are
get
you
up?
saying in front of people
Oh,
here
my Lord.
that I have that tendency? You open up your mouth just now.
That's
Because
tough.
if
Why are you
did-
defending it?
If you did.
Why are you defending it?
If you did.
Why would you defend
I
it?
strongly suggest,
Why would
get
you
a
defend
lawyer.
it?
Get a
Oh,
lawyer.
please.
It's slanderous what
You
you
may
just
need a
said.
lawyer.
And you need manners.
Yeah.
I
And
apologize.
civility.
I apologize.
We accept. Dear Santa,
Enough.
let's get into Santa. Dear Santa, I have been really good this year. I treat everyone with kindness.
Thank you.
No, it's not from you. I am learning how to spell my name, so my mom is writing this for me. But hopefully next year I will be able to write my letters to you myself. Please bring me, Merv, you're young, what is that? Something toys, and a kitten, like the one that's on the cover. Merv, a kitten.
Yep.
Thank you and stay safe. Your friend Samantha. Dear Santa, I want a heart-shaped earring so when I get earlobes. Oh no, ear holes. I won't. It's got to. This is tough reading. I want a heart-shaped earring so I can get ear holes. I won't have to ask my parents to buy me earrings. By the way, I want the earrings to have magical powers so I can lift stuff up, fly, have ice powers, cast spells, and
Well, do you want to know something?
super strength and control plants.
She's exactly right. The elves have that at the workshop.
I know they do. And the last one. Dear Santa, my name is Landon. I am 4 years old and I like cars and candy. I have been a good boy.
And he's got great handwriting for a 4-year-old.
He actually does a little script, which is not something that's taught today.
Yeah.
Probably homeschooled. In your sewer bill, you have received the winter is here, and that means snow and what to do with your car, getting it off the street. So please look at this when you get it in your sewer bill. I see that West Point Highway has been brought up about potholes, and so I want to talk about that for a second. And so we call it West Point Highway. It's actually a state road. It starts down by Nicole's Catering Hall and comes north and gets to the fork where the clock is and goes to the right, which sometimes we refer to as Blake's West Point Highway. If you're an old timer here like me, it's actually, the real name is Blake's Highway. Listen, a DOT has been contacted. Lori, if you could, you've heard about this before. We bring it up at the CRC meeting. I don't think people realize that we're on this, but it's hard to get DOT. DOT is a government in themselves. They're tough. But I always thought if West Point went after them with a letter, they would respond. This road leads into the premier military institution in the world, not in New York, not in the country, but in the world. And you would think West Point would want to have it a premier road for themselves.
I know that Assemblyman Skoufis, Senator-elect Skoufis, did contact them on this issue. It was something he discussed back in August at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. He's been very successful in getting money to repave major roads within the Assembly District that he represented. What happens is they will have, the DOT has their priority list, and then the priority list, they use their pot of money that they get for that. However, if out of that pot of money, when the budget is being processed, it says that this $200,000 or whatever is needed for that project is to be used to specifically repave this road or specifically redo this drainage, as was done for Storm King Mountain this past year, then it's something that they can't take that money and divert it to something else. It has to be used for that. So I know he is working on it. I will support it, and I know I've spoken to it. We all support it.
I don't think the community realizes how we're trying to get this road paved.
No, and they did come in before graduations. I know, again, Assemblyman Skoufis had contacted them and filled in some of the potholes, but he also knows that it's in deplorable condition.
Thank you, Glenn.
One question on that. There was some questions regarding the bridge and the culvert behind Town Hall. Was one of the reasons I believe they said something about the work, doing the work, like repaving from Nichols to the West Point gate. Has that been, what's the situation with that?
You mean the sidewalk?
There's the sidewalk that's closed down there. I know that there was some.
We have FEMA money to fix the wall.
Right.
That caved in.
Right.
Or came down. And then we have county money to do this, to do as much as it will allow us to do
the Community
of the
Development
sidewalk.
Block Plan, right.
Of the sidewalk.
Yeah, for the sidewalk.
For which, by the way, does not belong to us, it belongs to the state. For whatever that's worth, but they won't do it, so there's a lot of folks from Wyandotte Green that have to walk south to the drugstore and food store, so we're gonna do it with this grant money.
So I would suggest reaching out by phone or by letter to Senator-elect Skoufis.
Yeah.
I know he's already aware of this.
Yeah.
Let him know that you're having to use your community development block grant money to redo the sidewalks on a state highway.
Yeah.
I don't know what the state policy is on sidewalks off the top of my head.
It's bizarre. For a village, it seems like we're responsible. If it was in the town, the state would be responsible. We had to fix the catch basin.
Yeah, there's also things with, it's really bizarre rules with bridges. Like the town is responsible maybe for a bridge in a village.
If it's so long.
Yeah.
Like not Eagle Valley Bridge, but yet,
yeah, there's
School Street Bridge.
School Street Bridge, right. So there are technicalities and rules to all these things that sometimes you look at and you go, what? But yeah, if you would reach out to him, I would strongly suggest that. I'll lend my support to it, obviously. And I believe that the FEMA money, has to be used first to repair what's underneath the road before they'll do anything on top of the road.
Yeah, we're gonna do
because I've seen that situation in the past.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Highland Falls Marina, we went out for an RFP for a company to come in and do a strategy, which is step 2. We did step 1. And so part of that strategy is a committee, so I'd like to name John Willis, Merv, Jim DeSalvo. And on the cell committee is Ned Copal, Martha Howard, Charlie, and Brian Howard. And whatever papers I have in here that you need, I will make copies for everyone and put them in your boxes. I have a letter here that's just about done. I reread it, a couple of changes I want to make. This will be hand delivered to every business owner on Main Street from Thayer Gate South about the efforts of the village board. I would ask those, especially at home, and anyone else, that you have a young child, if you would like to write a letter, if you would like your child to receive a letter from Santa, there's flyers downstairs, but just address it to the mayor, 303 Main Street, and I know Santa, and you'll get a letter. The toy box is downstairs to help those that are less fortunate. We're We're going to be distributing toys on December 20th. And of course, our best friends, which are our animals that we love so much. There's a box down there for blankets and litter and cat food and dog food and whatever you might want to give to an animal.
Is Kat still here? Did she leave?
No, she's here.
What, did I see something about adopt a child for the day at the center or something?
Not for the day. They have, the school actually covers all the children, from preschool up. They send home flyers. People can adopt a child, a lot of the teachers, fire department, citizens, whatever. But we have some of the kids at the center if somebody wants to adopt.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
So to address the comment about not listening, of course I listened to everyone that speaks. But as mayor, I have to write a lot of things down to do follow-up. So when you see me up here when someone's speaking, I'm writing something that they're saying that needs a response or needs to be looked into. Like some of the things that you said about the code for vendors. You know, I know you were there. I heard every word you said. And some of them are here for me to do. So it's not a question of being rude. It's a question of staying on top of things and getting back to people. So thank you so much. And so I'll do this as quick as I can because it's getting late and this really should have more time. So in the News of the Highlands, there was a quote. There was something said about the Glenwood study. Now, most people probably don't remember the Glenwood study. It goes back to 1999. It was a group of folks who came here and stayed here in and out. They would go and come back, go and come back for 2 years. Charlie, you remember it well. We were one of 3 communities that the Pentagon had picked that lived next to military bases, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, it didn't matter, in the whole country. 3 communities were picked and we were one. So the comment was that not much in the study was ever done. It's too bad. It's too bad. So let's see what was done. And this, I can only tell you, I didn't have much time. This is the report. It's starting to change color from white to something else. But when I became mayor, again, this was one of the first things I pulled out and put it right on my desk. Because I don't believe in studies being done, whether I do them or you do them, and they go in the drawer or they go on the bookcase. Folks that know me know that that's not what I do with studies. I keep them out in front of me. I don't put them in the drawer. I have to see it. That's the way I do it. If you went downstairs right now, you wouldn't find much in the drawers. It's all on top of the desk. If it's not done, it's on top of the desk. So let's see. I looked at this and only took me, I only spent a half hour. I could have spent days, but I'm not sure that it's worth it. So let's see. From the report, we've had cadet studies done. In fact, there's one being done come the next semester. The relationships with all the garrison commanders have been second to none. Don't believe me? Ask. The Community Relations Council was formed by General Chrisman and myself, and is still in existence today. We meet every 3 months. It's a great organization. Those of you will remember that I spent years on getting 300 acres back from West Point. That's part of this report. Everything that I bring up is part of this report that's been done. We formed the Land Development Committee, initiated the Glenwood Exchange, which led to Vision 2002. Raised $7,000 for the exchange team. Not taxpayers' money, it came from donations that we needed to provide a place for them to stay when they had to have a meal. Adopted the vacant Main Street store policy, adopted the property maintenance law, contract of sale of 25,000 gallons of water per day to the Holiday Inn. That's economic development. That's what the report was about. Founded the Fall Foliage Festival. That just didn't happen. It just didn't appear last year. hosting events on Main Street like the Purple Heart celebration, St. Patrick's Day parade, the Irish, Greek, Italian flag raising ceremonies, all in the report. Sponsored Welcome to the Park is a newly assigned West Point families, concerts on Main Street, the Greenway Trail. Grants, $4,000 for beautification, $43,000 for downtown renovations, $95,000 for Main Street sidewalks, $411,000 for Mountain Avenue repairs leading into Main Street. Co-founded the Community Relations Council with General Chrisman. Army and Navy parade send-off through Main Street, working directly with General Chrisman on a cadet walking privileges. They didn't have that back then. All things to do in their report. Successfully initiated the sales tax revenue from the Hotel Thayer. People said, you're crazy. Well, they pay sales tax now. At least I think they do. They're supposed to. Successfully won the Pizza War. The Pizza War was headlines from here to Los Angeles. I have them. Which stopped West Point from advertising. Buy our pizza, no sales tax. Initiated the survey done by the Institutional Research and Analysis, Office of Planning, Policy, Planning Analysis, done by West Point, to serve as a marketing tool. Support our local garden club with a budget. Hiring a seasonal employee to do custodial work on Main Street. Lobbied the Orange County Chamber office to be here. American flags on every pole. Initiated the cadet band on Main Street during home football games. Did ribbon cuttings for new stores. Free publicity for them. This goes, I'm only halfway done with this.
So what's been done in the last 4 years?
Well, I wasn't here. So
what's been done in the last 18 months?
I'll tell you in a second, Mr. Modlin. The Chamber, it was called the Local Development Corporation, but the Chamber did this, and everyone received one. And it's a nice map, and these were out there for tourists. This was a nice thing here.
So I'd recommend
excuse me. Can I
talk to the
when
residents.
is it my turn? Excuse me.
You work for us. Remember that.
Excuse me, Mr. Modlin.
You work for us.
I would call that working. Excuse me.
Come to the next floor and
police
talk
here,
to the residents.
because we got to stop. This is out of control now. Okay, please. I didn't interrupt you, and everyone went on more than 3 minutes. I would call this working real hard. Thank you. Could you stay there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So, markers for the Walk of Fame. We had an art show here. Professional art show. We had a grant for inside the buildings. I think it was a $500,000 grant. I think it was a $500,000 grant. At that time, the business owners were not interested. The snowflakes that hang up there today, making Main Street a historical district. People like those kinds of signs that are into that. Okay, so here's a calendar that we did. And this calendar has local old pictures. Really nice. But more important, or just as important, the dates down there were filled in. Here's January 2nd, the Holland Falls Middle School. There's a class, some type of reunion over there. And that it had all kinds of dates when things were going on. This was not easy to put together for a year. The library had special things going on, senior citizens meetings, the village board meetings, the town board meetings. This was a nice thing to have. So, and there's so much more. So the question was asked about lately. I have spent more time on Main Street, I don't mean on Main Street literally, but also with the work that I do. So let's see, what's been done? Good question. Good question. $200,000 for sidewalks at the north end. Thank you to Senator Larkin. which we had hoped this year they would start, but the bids came in too high, so we rejected them. And so that'll be done through this winter, going out for bids again. Hopefully to put trees in the sidewalks also. $190,000 for more sidewalks and streetscape. Feasibility study for the Highland Falls Marina. The community was able to, and we're part of the community, able to attract new stores like never before actually. The LED lighting that's always been a complaint, even in the Glenwood study, that better lighting beyond Main Street. So that has started and will continue. The Village Beautification Committee, which is actually in this report. I mean, I don't think you can, what that beautification committee does is wow, okay? Cadet studies. They were done, and they're being done now, and then in the spring of the next semester, I have an email here where they're going to meet with a couple of us and come up with a good project to do, which might be to create a priority list of projects and regulation amendments that would make the village more optimal of a destination for outside investment, and to create a proposal that would be given to prospective businesses to see what we wanted here. These are great studies, and when the cadets do it, they really do their homework. They come out into the community, and it doesn't cost us anything. These are good studies to use. I have a letter here from Cold Springs. It goes back a while, but I'm reinitiating it. The funny thing, I never thought of it until I received the letter. They want our tourists, and we kind of want their tourists. So how are we going to make that happen? How do we get our guys over there, our tourists, and how do we get their tourists over here? There is a way. So, and working with the, and is Lori here? Lori, working with the Orange County Chamber also, they need to pay more attention over here because of West Point, because it is the tourist attraction in the state. You know, it just is. And there's an opportunity here to promote like a 3-day stay. I mean, you can go to West Point, you can go to the wineries, you can go to Woodbury Commons, and then go home tired after you left all your money here, which is what we want. So this is something that we're developing. So
that's actually would be tourism.
Yeah.
And if you go on, there's a new commercial that they're launching for tourism, and it highlights the things that are here in Orange County, solely Orange County, because through our Department of Tourism. And they do highlight West Point. I have brought to Orange County Chamber of Commerce, I know I've mentioned it to Jim for our Chamber of Commerce to join theirs, and also the Tourism Department, I've spoken with them, and trying to get, and also Economic Development, trying to get all of them on board to pull that out. And I know that there was recently the study that was done that's talking about the relationship between West Point and Highland Falls. It should be released within the next couple of months.
thank you. Okay, so last, and then I would like to have a motion to go into executive session. And it's been said too by other people, but from myself and from the board, I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Those are just 2 words, Merry Christmas, but the goodness of this community is beyond. I've always said it, I don't see it changing, and so I want to thank the residents of this community for being who they are, and living here, and participating here, and hopefully being a part of how they want us to be. There's a lot of work to be done. And also, it's been said, but I'll say it myself, I can't wait for Saturday. Go Army, beat Navy. And I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Merv, seconded by Charlie. We go into executive session on personnel issues. Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.